Hello there, this is Peter the Rock. It's Sunday the 6th of August, descending the path into Old Amersham, or Amersham as it used to be called before they built a lot on the top of the hill. I just want to show you viewers the wonderful scene that we've got here on a nice summer Sunday afternoon, 6th of August. I love the contrast of the field with the crop just about beginning to show through, the darker ground of the trees, darker green, and the blue sky and the clouds. We are still not very far, you may or may not be pleased to know, from my favourite foot crossing. And the reason I'm filming this is because it's actually quite near when a train is due to go past. The previous video there were some lads waiting by the south side of the crossing. I don't know if they were messing about, but anyway, the train actually stopped before it got to the crossing, which was interesting. Would it be for them? I don't know. Anyway, here we are, approaching the crossing. You don't need any security or anything like that, just to walk across a foot crossing, as you can in probably thousands of places across UK, and I'm about to do that again. One thing I will show you, dear viewers, is my guide. Here it is. This is the guide, Amersham to Chesham. It's a walk, 4.5 miles, and it's walk number 10. And there are a couple of people there. In fact, they're in front of the Martyrs Memorial. It's very difficult to find. And I got this a few years ago, picked it up free, and they're wonderful, these guides, because they give you ideas about where to walk. Of course, you don't have to follow them. Walk where you like, really, as long as it's a public footpath. So, for example, on the inside of the guide, there's a rather wonderful map showing a sort of footpath. And you'll see towards the bottom of the map, there's the foot crossing from from the direction of Old Amersham, let's call it that, towards Chesham. And it's always interesting following these guides. They're not always completely accurate, but they're well worth doing. So if you want to take up walking, especially in the countryside, go into something like I suppose a tourist information shop and pick up a free guide. We're blessed to have so many walks. I've been walking in the Chilterns for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years, still discovering new paths. Now, the next train is due from that direction. Now, I came to Amersham, or even Hamersham, from Harrow, and I was going to try to come on the Chiltern line, but it seemed to be not running very regularly, so I ended up getting the tube, which stops at Amersham, as everybody knows. And is Amersham the most westerly point of the whole tube network? Well, that's debatable, and Jeff Marshall, bless him, explored this issue, and he reckons that Chesham is the most westerly, I think, from memory, but there's not much in it, a few yards, and the Amersham tube, when it has to go past Amersham to park up in a siding before it goes back into London, and at that point it is the most westerly point on the whole of the tube network. Now, when Jeff has twice got the world record for visiting all the tube stations in the fastest time possible. I think he did it in the noughties. So he knows all about tube stations, obviously, and I advise you, if you haven't already heard of him, visit some of his videos, which are fascinating. He manages to find interesting, exciting things from what we would think are fairly, perhaps, mundane situations. He's also been across a few foot crossings, but only a few, 2 or 3, I think, in East London. Don't think he's been across this one. He might have done, but I'm helping out. Anyway, this foot crossing is currently about 4 foot above where I'm standing. The train is actually due now, and I'm just wondering if it'll turn up on time. As I mentioned earlier, they seem to be a bit irregular from Harrow. It may be that instead of every half hour, they're every hour today. It's a Sunday, it's the 6th of August. It's a beautiful day, and it would be nice to see a train go by, as I'm sure you would like to see one. So we'll wait a little bit longer. Stop, look and listen. Beware of trains. So obvious, isn't it? Let's go up a bit and just see if anything's coming. Can't hear anything. The thing about a tube train is, or electrification, you can hear a sort of shh in the railway as the train approaches, but these trains, which go to Aylesbury, are powered by diesel locomotives, I think. Don't ask me what class they are. Don't even ask Jeff, because he's more into the railway structure rather than he would abhor the idea of being called a train spotter. But I don't know how long this crossing has been here. Quite a long time, I think. I've never ever seen chaps used to walk along the railways with huge crowbars or whatever, tapping the rails, presumably to make sure they were still aligned. I've never ever seen that. Don't know if they need to do that anymore. They're from memory, about 30, 40 years ago, they replaced a lot of the old railway lines with much longer lines. I suppose to smooth out the clickety-clack idea. But I've never really understood that. Answers in the comments if you can, because steel, like any metal, expands and has what's known as a coefficient of linear expansion. Expands in the heat, and it's not insignificant. It's maybe 2% or 1% or something, which over 100 meters would be 1 or 2 meters. Might be less than that, but it's significant. And I don't know how they manage to cope with potential expansion in very hot weather, but they do. So what do I know? Maybe they're not made of steel, maybe it's some kind of mixture of metals. I don't know. Anyway, is this exciting or not? I don't know. But this train is overdue. I'm not going to wait much longer. It does say on one of the signs here, watch out, CCTV is in action. Now I don't know where the CCTV is. Maybe they've seen me and decided to delay the train, but that's extremely unlikely. Aylesbury is an interesting place, and in the middle of Buckinghamshire, well, to the north of Buckinghamshire. I think it's also on an offshoot of the Grand Union Canal, of which I've filmed quite a few times. But I've never walked all the way along the Grand Union Canal to Aylesbury. Slough is also on a 4.5, 5 mile offshoot of the Grand Union Canal, but I haven't walked along that either. I have walked along it, but not videoing. No, I think we're going to have to abandon this idea of waiting for a train. Mantles Wood Crossing. This wood opposite, I think it's called Hervine's Wood, and it's the gateway to Chesham. Gateway to Chesham. There's an enticing little sunlit spot out there to the west, but unfortunately I think we're going to have to do without watching a train go past. But anyway, if you're interested in me going across crossings, which some of you must be, because this previous video going across this crossing has attracted something like 3.8 thousand views, which makes it my most watched video. Don't quite know why. The second most popular one is the saga of Cider Pete. It's a true story. So if only I could find Cider Pete, get him to walk across a crossing, then, you know, my cup would runneth over. One thing that's quite interesting is that the hardcore, there's some fresh hardcore, some white, it seems to me, quite near the crossing. A lot of it is very dirty and old, perhaps a relic of the steam train era, but no, who knows. Anyway, somebody else coming across the crossing now, so I'm going to sign off, and thank you very much for watching.